when you're growing up and you know these things are really happening to you, and everybody around you that you love is pretty much saying, you're crazy. It was a miserable experience.
Thousands of people are reporting contact with non-human intelligences. And I don't mean just seeing a UFO, but actual contact with non-human entities.
I have a 7.5-foot insect standing close enough to bite.
Their stories and messages are nothing less than profound.
She walked in and she handed me a baby. I get the sense of connection that is mine.
As bizarre and traumatic as these events can be, there is another side to the phenomenon. Experiencers are reporting radical transformations in all aspects of their personal and professional lives. Many commit to a new higher purpose and use an artistic medium as a tool to connect with others.
I want to be able to take people out of that negative state and put them in a positive state.
There's more to being an experiencer than onboard ship encounters and creepy scenes in your bedroom.
Join me as I investigate and document hip-hop artist Skits the PLK, Prophet Lucid King. After his mind-blowing ET encounters, Skits changed his rapping style from gangster rap to conscious rap. This is his story.
These things are really happening to me. People need to know.
My name is Josh Golembeske, and I am a UFO investigator, podcaster, and filmmaker. My mission is to investigate and document people reporting contact with non-human intelligences and share their extraordinary stories and profound messages with the world.
One of the more interesting studies ever done on ufology was a survey in the 90s funded by Robert Bigelow.
In 1991, at the peak of alien abduction hysteria, UFO heavyweight researchers Bud Hopkins and David Jacobs developed a series of questions designed to find out how many people were being abducted by non-human intelligences. After analyzing the data, it was speculated that 2% of the population has been abducted by non-human intelligences, or 1 in 50 people. Today, that would be roughly 160 million people.
All right. That study doesn't prove anything, but what it does suggest is that the phenomenon is happening on a large scale.
Look at this thing. It's rotating.
Ufology has never been hotter with all the declassified videos and government reports and whistleblowers. But the part of the phenomenon that's not being discussed is the contactees. What are they saying about the experience? One part of it that I am particularly fascinated with is this radical positive transformation many people go through once they claim contact with a non-human intelligence.
The alien abduction phenomenon can potentially be one of the most powerful agents of spiritual growth, personal transformation, and expanded awareness that is now affecting people on this planet. John E. Mack. This assertion that contact with non-human intelligences leads to profound positive transformations is further supported by the free Experiencer Research Study, which was conducted by astronaut Dr. Edgar Mitchell's Foundation for research into extraterrestrial and extraordinary experiences. Out of the 3,200 experiencers surveyed, 71% claimed their contact experience had a positive impact on their lives. One very common aspect of this transformation is the urge to express ET messages and downloads through their personal artwork, writing, painting, podcasting, and even music.
Yeah. I want to remind y'all that we all come from the same place, right?
Peace, love, and light, baby. It all started with stardust, melodic harmonics and thoughts that be the source that defines us. We're just a fingerprint of sound. Take a second and wait until you get it. It's profound when you find out that your body never weighed a pound. Cause the truth is, we're just energy moving around. Can't you feel it when it's coming from the ground? That's why we dance around. The fire's so proud. See, I'm proud of the vibes that we founded. The foundation's the fountain of youth when you're grounded. Running barefoot to the top of the mountain. Eating sun rays in the days like I'm counting calories. But instead, I'm recharging like batteries. The data is what matters, so get rid of a strategy to get us more connected. Let's get rid of our salaries and get back to the jungle. My name is Rafael Lugo. My artist name is Skits the PLK, Skits the Prophet Lucid King, and I have had experiences with ETs since I've been about 5-6 years old, and it's been off and on ever since.
There's some more. We all came from the jungle.
Yeah, I like this one. I had a pretty easy upbringing. I was raised in the Bronx, not the best neighborhood. But a lot of my ET experiences since the age of 5 happened in New York. It started in New York. And you would think that it wouldn't start in New York due to the population in the area. You know, it's heavily populated, you know, urban area. But yeah, it started in New York. My first experience, I just remember being asleep. And while I was asleep, I just had this thought in my head that there's something watching me. And I just knew that when I opened my eyes, I was going to see something I didn't want to see. So I had this technique. I wiggle my toes, and if they move, I'm not paralyzed, I can run around. But if I can't wiggle my toes, I know that I'm in a paralyzed state. So in this particular night, I wasn't able to wiggle my toes before I opened my eyes. So I knew something was going on. And the minute I opened my eyes, I saw 3 grays. I saw what most would consider to be a classic traditional gray. You know, big bulbous head, big black eyes. Now, the one that was standing at the foot of my bed, it did start moving. I'm going crazy. I'm like, no. Oh. Remember, I can't move my mouth, can't move anything, my head or anything. I heard a telepathic message in my mind. In this specific instance, it did not sound like a foreign voice in my head. It sounded like my voice in my head going, we're not here to hurt you. Everything's going to be okay. And it started moving closer and closer to me until we almost Eskimo kissed. And once his eyes got close to my eyes, I completely passed out. And when I opened my eyes, it was morning again. In doing a little bit of research, though, I've read that grays are known to do that. And what they're trying to do is, I'm thinking they're using your eyes to tap into your neural pathways into your body. And that's why their stares are so intense. Maybe that's how they're able to know everything about me and tap into my memories and brain. I don't know. So these are just the raw memories in which I had.
All right, before we go any further, let's break down what alien abduction actually is. Let's keep it 101 for a second.
Based on thousands of reports compiled over decades, here are the basic events that occur when abducted by non-human intelligences and brought aboard a craft. Step 1, being taken. A person is physically taken from their surroundings, usually from their bed or car, and then escorted by several small gray entities as they are floated up into a craft hovering nearby. People report being paralyzed during this process. Step 2, onboard medical procedures. Many different scenarios occur aboard an ET craft, but one set of specific events has been reported consistently: medical procedures related to the human reproductive system. Step 3, the return. The abducted person or persons are then returned to the general area where they were taken from, usually a few hours later. The person does not remember what happened to them or has fragmented memories. This is called missing time.
So there's more to being an experiencer than onboard ship encounters and creepy scenes in your bedroom. There's also a high correlation to paranormal activity. Classic poltergeist activity, they'll see orbs, and creepy enough, shadow people. A lot of times experiencers see shadow people leading up to and after an event.
I've seen shadow people before, for sure. I've seen the shape of a human figure, you know, just standing in my hallway, just like a misty shadow, walking towards me and then slowly disappear and disintegrate in front of me.
There seems to be a particular association with electrical systems and the ability to consciously or unconsciously interfere with them.
Now that the street light turned on, I'm gonna wait for it to fully turn on and then I'm gonna turn it back off.
I don't know
Are you
if
ready?
it's gonna...
Now, off.
Even more compelling, experiencers seem to gain temporary psychic abilities, including telepathy, remote viewing, and even telekinesis, the ability to move objects with your mind.
Trying to move things with my mind, and then that came fairly easy. Then remote viewing came fairly easy. Then I started teaching it to my kids and they're picking up fairly easy. It just seems to be something that contactees can do.
Abductees seem, especially once they confront and integrate their experiences, to be especially intuitive. They sometimes demonstrate strong psychic abilities. Johnny Mack.
So when it comes to my family, and I want to start this by saying, because this is probably the part where they might want to be like, oh no, I'm gonna fast forward this, I don't want to hear this, right? So let's just keep it real. Look, you beautiful people, I'm just going to speak the truth, and I'm going to speak from my heart. I'm not trying to hurt nobody's feelings here, but it was a miserable experience growing up and having these experiences. Like, I had a great family. Like, my mother loved me dearly, my father loved me dearly. They were both in my life my whole time growing up. But it just sucks when you're growing up and you know these things are really happening to you, and everybody around you that you love is pretty much saying, dude, you're crazy. It's not what it is. Maybe you have, mental health issues, or maybe you have this. But I would say that because of my specific religion that I was raised in and their belief systems, it was kind of, it's only demons. So the support wasn't there. It wasn't there in the beginning, and even now, to be completely honest, I'm hoping that when they see this, they'll be a little bit more supportive and they'll try to research. I'm sorry to say it again, but they sucked, bro. A lot of my relationships, and I'll be candid, in the beginning with Melissa, it was a little rocky because I was so used to people telling me no. Then my beautiful wife comes into the picture and she starts going, hey, maybe it's possible. Before she started getting the experiences herself, then she started getting experiences, and now she knows it's just as real. But yeah, she was really one of the only people that made me kind of go, this is cool.
I met Skits through mutual friends. At the time, he was going through a lot with his anxiety and PTSDs that were coming from his experiences at that time. We were together probably a good 4 or 5 months before he told me, like, hey, I don't want you to think I'm crazy, but this is what's going on with me. And I didn't feel any sense of like, whoa, that's, I don't believe you, because I always was somebody that was open-minded to what could be out there, because there's not just us, and was comfortable with it.
So in coming up, I had these ET experiences. I was spitting my gangster hip hop. I would try to tell my friends, but they would just tell me I'm crazy. So I've learned to just leave it alone. And I gotta give a shout out. I do got one niece that did kind of believe. Kaida, I love you. Put that in there. That's my niece. I love her. All right, anyway.
So life can be hard for experiencers, and some never come out of the negative side of it. But those who seek help can transform their lives in a positive way. Skits was going through a lot of negative stuff until he came across the organization called MUFON, the Mutual UFO Network. And then he found many other people like him within this network that he could relate to and talk to, never mind the researchers and the investigators that helped verify his story and make him feel like he wasn't crazy. MUFON was a turning point for Skits.
It was a very big deal in helping me transition from being scared to really doing the mission, in which I'm so proud to be involved in right now, which is showing as many people as humanly possible that these things are going on. So fast forward a little bit, I'm getting really popular in gangster rap. I'm going through this thing where I kind of have this PTSD about my abduction experiences. I'm hearing people about how they want to kill themselves because they think they're crazy and that these ET things is really happening to them. I'm hearing stories about people losing their families and their marriages and all this stuff. And I'm just like, what's going on? I need to meditate on the situation. So in this meditation, I'm really deep. I just remember seeing a little white dot in my mind's eye. As I'm focusing on this little white dot, it rushes towards me and it engulfs everything in my mind's eye. Like, it's just, I'm in white light. Then all of a sudden, I can see myself floating in the middle of the universe, and I instantly felt what some people might consider to be like omnipresent, the God brain. I felt everything all at once, all times, ever existed. And then instantly, once I got engulfed in the feeling of everything, I was shown what my music was doing to people. Like, I was showing people listening to my music and getting ready to do robbery. I was showing people listening to my music and hurting other people, harming other people. And instantly I knew that what I was doing a lot more damage than I was able to see. I thought I was just making music and I was dropping a pebble in the middle of the ocean, but I did not see on the other side of the ocean there was a tidal wave destroying cities. I just realized in that state that music was a tool and it could be used as a weapon for good. I came out of that meditation changed forever.
If you're not from this planet and you walk among us.
After I got out of that meditation, the first song that I wrote was Calling All Hybrids.
I'ma do this for my hybrids, from a different world, looking to provide us with knowledge, wishing that we all just stop the violence. They try to show us how to build, but we always demolish. Listen, I'm here to reach out to you. You can ask me anything, I'll never lie to you. If you came in from above, then I'ma ride for you. If you only spreading love, then I will die for you.
I know that there's hybrid human aliens on this planet right now. I know they're here. So I wanted that song to spread out just long enough for those hybrids that might feel a little weird on this human planet to know that they're not alone. And there are other humans on here that would like to communicate with you.
I'm the kind of contactee that'll contact any kind being with a compact beam. Just to see the starship gleam in the middle of the night with my team. If you feel what I mean, then you might be a hybrid. Bare minimum a contactee. If you know you a hybrid, feel free to come and contact me. Baby, I'm a star seed, here to give you the support that y'all seek. If you know you a hybrid, give me the knowledge that humanity needs.
A lot of what I get is, dude, that same thing happens to me. I thought I was crazy until I heard this in your song, and then all of a sudden I knew that there was somebody else out there that was going through it, and then I started painting my experiences, or I started writing poetry. That's what I want to do. I want to be able to take people out of that negative state and put them in a positive state.
If you know you a hybrid, give me the knowledge that humanity needs.
A lot of people that listen to my music will go, yo, dog, I don't know what a Palladian is or what a Mantis bean is, but that beat was lit. You know what I'm saying? So just like I'm planting seeds, and those seeds grow.
Alien-human hybrids is a controversial topic in ufology and very easy to dismiss. But decades of research and at least hundreds of first-hand accounts do give some validity to the concept.
I think it's time to talk about the hybridization program. The hybridization program is a program that the ETs are running on our planet. What they're doing is creating hybrids, or human-alien chimeras of sorts. Some look very alien, some look very human, but most are in between. The point of this program is largely unknown, but it appears to be generational according to the research. So that means if your parents had experiences, that means you are more likely to.
It's definitely generational. I know in my family it's generational, even though a lot of my family members wouldn't like to admit the fact that there is paranormal activity happening in our household growing up, and they might have been abducted as well.
It is a consistent event reported among a lot of contactees. How is it tied to the transformational aspect of contact? I don't know, but it's such a large part of the experience that it needs to be talked about.
So one of the most vivid stories that I can remember, it was a story that makes me believe 100% that I was a part of a hybridization program. So in this particular moment, it was in Oviedo, Florida, and it was nighttime. The memory starts, I'm holding my son's hand, I'm in the driveway, we're both looking up, and there's a massive, massive UFO in the sky. It was a darker, metalish color. Didn't look man-made at all. It did have indentations in it in which light was coming out of it, and there was a mist coming off of it, like a purplish, velvetish mist that kind of sparkled and sprinkled down. I just remember going from seeing this massive UFO in my driveway to walking down a long hallway. Now, it felt like the hallway went forever. It was well lit. It was almost like atmosphere. I don't know how the light got there. It was just lit. It looked almost 3D printed. And we was walking down the hallway. Now, I'm holding my son's hand, and to the left of me is a very tall being. It was about Shaq height. I'm 6'1", and it dwarfed me. It looked identical to a gray. It's just a smaller head and a way longer neck. I was holding his hand. I just remember about the hands. It just drives me crazy. It's how it wrapped around my whole hand. Those fingers, man, they wrapped all the way to the back of my hand and around. But the weirdest thing is I'm standing next to this being and I'm not scared. There's no fear going through my body. I remember looking up at it, and this is the best way I could explain it. I do it all the time. It looks at me like this. Like the way it tweaked his neck to look back down at me, the way it curved his neck to look down at me, it was just, to this day, it still creeps me out. And I just remember looking down, being okay with it, and my son walking with me and holding his hand was another tall gray. So now we're walking down this hallway and we come across what I know to be a two-way mirror now, but at the time it just looked like a window. What I see when I look inside this window is, it looked almost like a lobby of a children's hospital. You know how they put murals on the wall, kind of like a bear in a conga line with a bunch of other kids and then a tiger at the end. And there was some toys in the corner. There was a circular rug and a rocking chair on top of that rug. So as I'm looking at this, one of the grays grabbed my son and gently walks him into this room in which I'm looking into. My son almost already knew what to do, which was weird. My son literally just walked into the room and sat Indian style in the right side of the corner. I can see an archway in the back right side of the room, and in that archway, some kids start walking in. And they walked in and they just didn't look human. The eyes gave it away. The very small ears, the little petite mouth, and the big eyes give it away. It wasn't big black eyes on these kids. They were like, some of them were blue, green eyes. You could see the whites in their eyes and you could see the pupil. And the hair was very thin, very frail. And they had almost like hospital gowns that looked like gauze. And they sit in Indian style and they form a circle with my son. One of the beings bring like a white feather or like a white material paper or something. It was just white. And they're starting to just making it float without touching it. So it's kind of like they're playing catch, but they're not touching the item. So I guess they were like practicing or teaching my son telekinesis, is what it felt like. They were just having fun playing. I'm wondering why I'm watching this, but I'm totally fine with it. Then the gray grabs me by the hand and walks me into the same room and sits me right in the rocking chair. It was a mirror, and I can see whatever was behind me reflecting off the mirror. I'm staring, that's how I knew it was a two-way mirror. And I'm staring at it. In the mirror, I could see this hybrid lady come in. And she walked in and she handed me a baby. And I just remember looking at her, noticing she wasn't human, but she was very kind. It wasn't like, here's a baby. It was more like, very gentle. Everything's very gentle. So she gives me this baby and then it gives me a bottle. And I'm looking at the baby and I'm noticing the baby is just very pale. The eyes were really black, but really almost sunk in. The hair was really like dead, almost looking gray. These were grays, like they had the gray, the complete black gray eyes, like the hybrid grays. The kids had human looking eyes. It was almost like they wanted me to give it love and feed it. Like, how do you nourish it? How do you make it live? And I just remember seeing the gray watching me do it. And it's just intensely like, almost like it's learning. I get the sense of connection that is mine. I felt like they were like the only person that could give this thing love is his parents. Like it's his father, it's his connection. Maybe it's dying, like the dad's not here to comfort it and show it love and make it live, make it want to live. I don't have any memory of sperm being taken from me, or I don't have any memory of sleeping with any extraterrestrial aliens or any people on board ship, but I have the sense that this is my baby, it's mine. I don't remember handing the baby back. I just remember it was almost like blinking and now I'm in a whole nother scene. And I'm in this auditorium. It almost reminded me of like a lecture hall in a college. I'm sitting in this chair and I was sitting next to this African-American chick from Brooklyn. Why do I know that she's from Brooklyn? Because I sat down and I was like, yo, what up? And she was like, hey, what's up? And I was like, what's going on? And she was like, nothing, I'm chilling, I'm from Brooklyn and just kind of bugged down. I'm like, yeah, it's bugged down from the Bronx, that's crazy. Once again, we're not scared of where we are. We were just perfectly okay with being in this weird auditorium, talking to each other. And then as I'm starting to get to know this lady from Brooklyn, I look down and on this platform in the front, there's a table. On top of this table, there's a black box. There's an archway in the right side of the room, and this being comes in. It walked very like it didn't have no bones. Imagine skin with no bones, translucent, with like crystally golden water inside of it, and a flicker of a flame for a head. and it gestures like this with his hand to the box that's on the table. The box opens up from the top and a hologram of the earth pops up and it starts spinning slowly. And then a little meteorite comes and hits the earth and the whole earth explodes in this hologram. And I hear in my mind, and not in my own voice, in another voice that sounded almost robotic in a way, a little robot like when this happens, you will all have a job to do. Like it said that. And then flash, and I'm in the middle of this field with a whole bunch of other people, and we got our hands up like this, and there's this light coming fast towards Earth, and it just explodes in the middle of the sky, and it starts to look like little fireworks trickling down. And then I blink, and I'm back in the driveway, and this UFO is just slowly flying away. My son's legs was wrapped around my waist, his head was on my shoulder, and he was completely out, passed out, and I'm just holding him like this, looking up at this UFO fly away, and that's the end of the memory. So that's why I believe I was in a hybridization program.
The generational aspect of the phenomenon is fascinating, and this is where Melissa comes in. Because if the non-human intelligences were interested in Skitz and his offspring, of course they're going to be interested in Melissa, especially when she was pregnant. Here's a story from when she was pregnant and remembers encountering a group of beings.
It was a very vivid memory. It was like I was laying down on some sort of table, and I saw all around me was 10 to 12 standing around me in front. And what really stood out was their glowing eyes. It was like the almond-shaped eyes, with one specific that was standing in front with this large wand. It was like an illuminating wand right over my belly. And it was like I was starting to wake up in a way, and I felt from them like, oh no, she's waking up, she's not supposed to. And they were all looking around at me. And then after a few moments or a few seconds, I just immediately wake out of bed, like it was out of my sleep. And immediately through my whole body, I knew, and I said to myself out loud after I woke up saying, oh shoot, like this is real. This is what just happened, or I was there. And my experiences after that slowly started to happen more often.
The hierarchy of alien beings aboard UFOs, especially related to the hybridization program, typically include the short grays, then the tall grays, and sometimes contactees report a tall, mantis insect-looking being that appears to be in charge of the operation.
I started to see something form in my peripheral vision, and this thing is like huge. And if it's an insect, I have a 7.5-foot insect standing close enough to bite. Now I'm getting a little scared, and I think it can understand that. And if dematerializes, communication is completely gone. I would assume that the reaching out would be almost like a checkup. And if you think about it, they come in my room as they saw it. I'm walking down the hallway in some base or ship with the tall ones, and I get a checkup from the supervisor. So it looks like that's how it works.
For most abductees, the hybridization has occurred simultaneously with an enlightenment imparted by the alien beings. Johnny Mack.
UFOs or UAPs, or whatever you want to call them, is such a complex topic. One of the more fascinating aspects is what they call a MILAB abduction, M-I-L-A-B, basically a military abduction. So what happens to experiencers, it seems like, is once they have a real ET encounter, sometimes the military or the government will come in and then abduct them as well. They must be watching these experiencers, the government. And then when they get abducted, the government comes in and is like, oh, what can we learn from this? This gets into Men in Black. So the MILAB abductions are a very interesting part of the phenomenon, but it seems like our military or these transnational corporations have access to extraordinary technology that they're using on experiencers.
And having these multiple experiences with extraterrestrials, and I've been able to kind of tell the difference between an experience that I'm having with a legitimate extraterrestrial and when something is what I like to call, or what everybody kind of in the community likes to call, a MILAB abduction. It's being done by the military is basically what I'm trying to say. So the following story took place in Oviedo, Florida, in the home where a majority of my older years in these experiences was happening.
We were cooking dinner and we had just finished cooking and I was getting ready to go outside to take out trash.
And Melissa has, a garbage bag in her hand and she's walking out and she's just holding on to the garbage bag and completely just looking up. She was there for 3-4 minutes. Without any motion, she's just completely staring up.
And what felt for like a couple seconds to me, all of a sudden Ralph comes outside and was like, Melissa, are you okay?
It was almost like he was frozen there looking up. And that's when I noticed this golden light kind of rising in the horizon.
We see this glowing light. As it was rising up in the air, it just stopped.
And that's when I looked at my wife and I said, I think we're looking at a UFO right now. I think we're having an extraterrestrial. I think this is a UFO. And I grabbed my wife by the hand and I go, babe, I'm gonna try to connect with this thing. I say, with peace, love, and light, I'm an ambassador here from Earth. And I'm here to tell you with all the love that I have in my heart, I would love to connect with you right now. And if you would connect with me, can you please just move a little bit to the right so that way I know that we're connected. The minute I said that in my head, it moves to the right. And I go, oh my God, I start squeezing Melissa's hand to the point where she goes, ow, 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 ow. And I go, babe, I think I'm connected.
And then he starts squeezing my hand like, oh my gosh, did you see that? Did you see that? It moved to the right. I'm gonna tell it to go to the left. So then out loud, he says, with peace, love, and light, if you're here and really connecting to me, move to the left so I know that you're connected to me. And then all of a sudden we see the glowing light start moving to the left.
Now she's like, oh my God, we're both connected. This light is starting to glow and get dimmer and go bright and get dimmer. Move a little bit to the left, move a little bit to the right. It was almost like it was getting excited with us.
We started to notice these random helicopters coming from out of nowhere.
I look down the street and I see this black SUV, completely tinted. As it's driving past us, I see a flash of green light come from the car. So now Melissa's kind of a little freaked out and she goes, I don't know about that. UFO, Men in Black is coming. As she says that, a helicopter flies over our house and starts heading towards. Another helicopter comes from the distance. Now this light is surrounded by 5 to 6 helicopters. And they're all just hovering and just looking at this light.
The light in the sky started like flashing, like almost like pulsating, and then went out, completely out.
So now I come inside the house and I'm just completely done with the experience, which I find to be weird right now. Like if that same thing were to happen right now, me and Melissa wouldn't be able to stop talking about it. But for some reason, on that specific day, we walked in, she was like finishing the dishes in the kitchen. I looked at her, I go, yo, that was crazy, right? She was like, I know, that was like a real UFO. And that was all we said.
Then a little bit, we started watching a movie. I believe the movie Nacho Libre had just came out. So that we started watching that with the kids.
Me and Melissa are just talking. And at that time we had a really old Roku. And if you know the first edition of Roku, it just puts the time like kind of bouncing as a screensaver when you don't change the channel after a while. I can see 1043 just bouncing around. In the middle of me saying something, she goes, shh, shh, do you hear that? I can hear the doorknob being jiggled in my front door to my house. As I'm walking slowly towards the door, a bright white light was in my face and it completely blinded me. And then when I woke up, I was in like spread out in a starfish formation in my back bathroom on the tile. What I felt in my body was similar to the feeling I had when I went under in surgery before. It was like this thing in my lower back. It kind of felt woozy, the nauseating feeling in like in my nose and my throat. And I just remember hearing ding, like a very long buzzing sound. And my whole body felt like it was tingly, like when your arm falls asleep. As I'm going out of it, I go, holy my kids. And I hop up onto my feet and I run out of my back bathroom, run out of my bedroom, and I go directly into the living room. I saw Melissa sleeping in the love seat in the most uncomfortable position that you could possibly sleep in a love seat. As I'm slapping her on the foot to wake her up, I look at what time it is, and it was like 1:50 something, close to 2 o'clock in the morning. And I promise you, the last thing I remember was 10:43.
It was a crazy experience overall. We had no idea and don't know till this day, like, what happened in that missing time.
Now, I do believe that the UFO that me and Melissa saw was 100% authentic and real. But I know for a fact that I was taken by an entity that uses anesthesia. Because the exact same feeling I got in my lower back when I woke up was the exact same feeling I got when I woke up from the anesthesia from the surgery. That's how I know the difference between a real abduction and a MyLab abduction.
So why would they do that?
My assumption is, and this is something that I've had a lot of time to think about, possibly they were wondering if I got some sort of download from this ship. And they wanted to know what information was downloaded into my mind. So maybe they got a team together. They took me and my family aboard maybe another ship that was close by, or maybe a base. I mean, there was a Lockheed Martin not too far away from where I lived.
A few days after that, there was this group of what looked like SWAT men come to the door. They were fully dressed in like police official clothes, but no logos of any sort.
2 dudes and a lady for sure. So I'm usually don't get intimidated a lot, but these were some big, beefy, meaty dudes, man. I would say 6'4", very muscular, did not look like just regular civilians looking for a drone.
And their lady was dressed all in black, sunglasses. For a day in Florida that's about 90 degrees, is just nobody dresses like that to show up randomly at your house.
I just remember these 2 dudes, man. They was just randomly in my backyard. I opened the back door and I go, hey, what are you guys doing back here? And the grass was just tall as hell. It's not like I was hanging out back there in my backyard. I was scared of the snakes that was in the back. I didn't really have a lawnmower at the time, so I kind of let my yard turn into a jungle. So they were walking within the jungle.
Did they say who they were?
They didn't say who they were. They just said that they lost a drone in the backyard. They were doing exercises and they need to come find it to see if it's back there.
But there was no sign of a drone, never found a drone, and they never found a drone. So I call bull on the whole drone story. To me, it was a checkup. Did the UFOs, after the abduction, did we drop something on the floor? Did make sure that we cover up all our steps? So I strongly believe that since it was a military abduction that happened days before, that was kind of a cleanup team that was coming through to make sure there wasn't no evidence left behind.
The evidence for the hybridization program and alien abduction is mostly experiential, with thousands of reports stretching back decades. But we do have physical evidence in the form of unexplained implants, phantom pregnancies, and strange body marks. The current available evidence is not enough to prove the phenomenon is real for mainstream science. But what is provable is the life-altering, transformational journeys these experiencers go on once they claim contact with a non-human intelligence.
The transformational aspect of the phenomenon cannot be denied, but neither can the PTSD-inducing side of it either. It's complicated, and it needs more research. Skitz's story is just the tip of the iceberg.
You're not alone. For every million person out there that thinks I'm crazy, there's 100,000 people that need to know that they're not. And that's what I'm doing it for.
You think I'm lost? I know I'm free. Some might call me crazy, but I never felt so me.
I do strongly believe that it is every single contactee's and experiencer's duty to say what they've been through. There's ways to take the negative that we have with these experiences and turn them into positives. Write a song. If you love math, make some really cool geometry that invokes the feeling that you had in that abduction. If you like to read books, write a book about it. If you like to do poetry, write a poem. If you like dance, do an interpretive dance about your experience. Whatever it is that you do.
'Cause I'm grounded and connected to the path that's been laid out for me.
My last and final thought, love is everything. And love everybody as much as you can, because we're only here for a little bit of time and then we got more work to do. So don't get stuck in the cycle of, I gotta come back and learn. Learn your lessons now and let's go have fun in another solar system. You know what I mean? Cool.
Yo, what's your mission in life? You better be ready to strike and light fire inside your mind's eye when it's right. With divine timing, you'll find there's enough time to design positive vibes used to bruise the darkness that lies in the deep, where it hides when you're falling asleep. Now walk to it, tell it you're breaking its lease. I'm reclaiming my space, you ain't living with me. Pack it up, get a U-Haul truck and leave me the keys.
Take steps, believe the pain that you seek is blessed. Take a deep breath and leap.